So we're back to another day in comparative religion. Today we're going to be discussing religions from the Far East. And when I talk about the Far East, I mean countries like China and Japan. Does anybody know what religions they follow there?
Well, I know a famous saying by Confucius. It was, "He who knows all the answers has not been asked all the questions." Don't they believe in Confucius in China?
Brilliant quotation. And so very apt, because we're all here to ask questions only, right? So you're right, Confucianism was followed in China, but what else?
Isn't Buddhism followed there as well?
Well, yes, Buddhism is followed in China, but because it's followed in other Asian countries also, we won't cover Buddhism right now. Okay, we're going to deal with only those religions that are purely from the Far East, or religions that we refer to as Mongolian religions. Okay?
I've heard of Shinto and Tao, but aren't they one and the same thing?
Shintoism and Taoism are two different philosophies followed in the Far East. Okay, so basically today we will be covering Confucianism, Taoism and Shintoism. Okay, let's begin with Taoism. Now the word Tao, okay, actually means the path, right? And the founder of Taoism was Lao Tse. And he was a man who was very disillusioned with life. In fact, he was on his way heading towards leading a life of isolation. But the elders of the village stopped him and said, "Look, please, can you just pen down your thoughts for us?" So Lao Tse for 2 days non-stop kept penning down his thoughts, which resulted in the manuscript that we now know as Tao Te Ching.
Oh yes, I've heard of it. It is like their Bible, right?
Absolutely. So basically Tao describes the path that a man should follow in order to lead a virtuous life.
Ma'am, in every religion we talk about following a path. But do we really follow a path, or is God within us?
Excellent observation. Okay, when Lao Tse talked about Tao, he actually referred to it as a synonym for God, who he saw as being omniscient, omnipresent and omnipotent. Okay, so Tao means not only the path but also God.
Ma'am, didn't they come up with the idea of yin and yang?
Yes, absolutely they did. Does anybody know what it is?
It means the negative and the positive in creation.
It also refers to the male and the female aspect of creation.
Isn't it more about the light and the dark, or the weak and the strong?
You are all correct. In fact, yin and yang is the balance of two poles in the universe or creation. So two opposites create one whole, right? Let's do a quick recap.
Taoism is the oldest religion followed in China. Its founder's name was Lao Tse. He was a gentle, quiet man. He is the author of Tao Te Ching, the most revered manuscript in the Tao religion. Tao means path as well as to describe the shapeless, endless, omnipotent, omniscient and omnipresent nature of the creator of all creation. Tao is God. He creates and destroys all without being seen. Taoism follows the concept of yin and yang. It is believed that Tao or God created one and that one became two. In nature, yin is the negative, weakened, feminine power seen as earth, and yang is the authoritative, creative, manly and divine power. Both these opposite powers together created the entire universe.
Ma'am, is Tao Te Ching is their only holy manuscript?
No, in fact, there are 4 of their main manuscripts.
The manuscripts in Taoism include Tao Te Ching. Its author, Lao Tse, talks about God and his strength. In all, it has 644 preachings and 350 explanations. Chung Tzu or Chung Chao is named after its author, Chung Tzu, who was the most famous and mysterious philosopher of this religion. Tao Sang is a collection of 1,120 booklets about the religion, explaining it in great detail. Tai Shong, its author is unknown. This book talks about the strong relation between our deeds and their repercussion. Basically, man gets what he sows.
Now, rather than me just preaching to you about the rules of Taoism, why don't we do it in a slightly different way? Okay, how does a game sound? Let's turn this into a game. Everyone ready?
Yes!
Okay, so now the rules of the games are, we're going to break up into 2 teams. Okay? First, team 1 is going to say as many beliefs of Taoism as possible. If they keep going, those points keep adding up. The moment they get a wrong answer or there's a break, it moves to the next team. Okay, are we clear?
Yep. Yes.
Shall we begin?
Yes, ma'am.
So are we all ready to begin?
Yes.
Okay, so this is team A and team B. Start.
Tao is the creator of all. He is omnipresent, mysterious, and difficult to describe.
The soul is immortal and limitless.
Wise man.
3 seconds up. Okay, goes to team B.
There are spirits in heaven and earth who keep an account of all our deeds and accordingly decide how long we live.
The soul goes to heaven for health according to its deeds.
Life is like a dream. All worldly goods are illusionary. And
Okay, 3 seconds up. Very good. Team A so far has 2 points. Team B has 3 points. Very good. Now let's go back to team A.
A wise person is a person who discovers himself but does not show it off to others.
a wise person is not a slave to his senses, but is more involved with his soul.
Followers of Tao should never resort to violence or weapons.
Pranayam and yoga do not lead to a better life.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's the wrong answer. Okay, team B, 1 extra point if you can get it correct.
Pranayam and yoga lead to a better life.
Very good.
Good deeds and truth lead us to heaven. We get returns according to our deeds.
Hard work leads to complete knowledge.
Getting wealth by wrong means lead us to. It's like satisfying our hunger with a bad food or quenching our thirst with a poisoned water.
Okay.
Next.
Sorry, time's up. Very good. 1 extra point, so 4 points for team B, and that makes it a total of 7 points. And team A, you have a total of 5. Okay? Great. So let's start round 3. Team A.
Only he can feel Tao's presence who is simple, innocent and disciplined. A child is nearest to Tao. One who loses himself in Tao becomes a child.
Good. Very good.
That's it? That's all the beliefs we had in our book? This is not fair. Can we also do tenets of Taoism?
I have absolutely no problem. If you all know the tenets of Taoism, great. Would you like to do it that way?
Yes, yes.
Great. Okay, so let's start again. Start with team A.
One should let go of his ego and concentrate on his deeds without having any expectations.
Humility is the basis of respect.
A person should not serve others on the basis of getting fame or getting notorious. Rather, he should find the middle path.
One should not get too involved or entangled in worldly pleasures.
Being one with God gives divine bliss.
One should be economical because hoarding money will not bring you near to God.
Contentment is the only permanent fulfillment. Nobody can insult a content person.
Those who are calm at heart get enlightenment.
A person who has Tao in him is like a king in this life and beyond this too.
Oh my God! You knew all the tenets? Absolutely amazing!
They planned all this. That is cheating.
Yes,
Yeah,
ma'am,
they're
this is not fair. This is
cheaters.
not fair
Not
at all.
cheaters.
This is cheating.
This is not fair.
We did not do.
Look, do you all realize that you just learned both the beliefs and the tenets of Taoism without you even realizing it? In my eyes, both teams are winners. Excellent job.
This is a much better way of learning. It was fun.
Yes.
Yes, it was.
So maybe all of you would like to try to play this game also to reinforce those concepts better. And I'm sure your teacher would love to help you with it.
The beliefs of Taoism stated that Tao is the creator of all. He is omnipresent, bodiless, mysterious and difficult to describe. He is as heavy as a stone and as light as a feather. The soul is immortal and limitless. It goes to heaven or hell according to its deeds. Life is like a dream. All worldly goods are illusionary. A wise person is one who discovers his own self. He is not a show-off. One should be detached from worldly things and develop his inner strength. A wise person is not a slave to his senses, but is more involved with his soul. Followers of Tao should never resort to violence or weapons. Pranayam and yoga lead to a better life. Good deeds and truth will lead us to heaven. We get returns according to our deeds. Hard work leads to complete knowledge. Collecting wealth by ill means is like satisfying our hunger with bad food or quenching our thirst with poisoned water. Total bliss and a long life are the goals of this religion. To achieve this, one must be one with Tao and lead a peaceful, pure, humble, and non-violent life. Only he can feel Tao's presence who is simple, innocent, and disciplined. A child is nearest to Tao, and one who loses himself in Tao becomes a child. There are spirits in heaven and earth who will keep account of all our deeds and accordingly decide how long we live. The tenets of Taoism state, man should let go of his ego and concentrate on his deeds without expecting returns. Humility is the basis of respect. Always try to be calm, true, and pure. Do not waste your strength. Only then will you live forever. One should not serve others only to get fame or become notorious due to ill deeds. Find a middle path. One should not get too entangled in worldly pleasures. This would be the biggest sin. By being one with a human, one gets only human pleasure, but assimilation with God gives divine bliss. Be economical. Wealth can be best utilized by spending on others. A hoarder cannot reach God. Contentment is the only permanent fulfillment. No one insults a content person. Those who are calm at heart get enlightened. A desire to return and be one with the Creator leads to this calmness. Try and stay in this total peaceful state. Those who have Tao in them are like kings in life and beyond too.
Now let me tell you a little about Confucius. Confucius was a famous philosopher of China, like the Indian sage Manu. He too laid out rules about most subjects like religion, state, justice, social behavior. He was an educator and he was regarded with utmost respect in China. Today, even after 3,000 years, people still look up to him for his rules of guidance. When he was born, China was ruled by the communist system. The various kings had lost all enthusiasm and fought among themselves. There was anarchy everywhere. Men were polygamous with many mistresses and women lived pathetic lives. There was no justice. Confucius was born in Lu, now in the state Shantung. He became the disciple of the most renowned scholar Chengs and became a very learned scholar himself at the age of 15 years. Confucius became very disillusioned by the state of affairs he saw around him and spent many years in self-study. He became the head judge of Chengdu when he was 52 years old. Things began to change then after. There were many reforms made in the society. People started becoming honest and confident. Confucius was given great respect. But this annoyed the ministers and they began to misguide the people again. They bought beautiful, skilled dancers and musicians in Lu. People were enchanted with them again and they started to ignore the advices given by Confucius. Confucius was disgusted and left Lu. He wandered here and there for 13 years looking for some state administrator who would appoint him. The rulers did respect him but didn't want to change their ways. After many years, when he was finally offered a chief advisory post, Confucius declined the offer and later left for his heavenly abode after an illness of 7 days. His memorial, built outside the city of Kulfu, can still be seen even today. There is an epitaph on his grave with the words, "Ancient, most learned, great educator, expert in all, know all." These days we see politics as being something very different, and very few of us have seen any politician who could be our role model. But Confucius saw politics as a very different kind of justice. It was pure ethics. Okay? He never claimed to be a divine soul. He was an administrator who believed in an almost divine kind of social justice.
Ma'am, what kind of social system did he envision?
Well, he believed in the creation of a Superman, or what he referred to as Chungsu.
But how is this Superman created?
Well, he wholeheartedly believed that if you perform your duty and service to mankind will eventually lead to greatness. He also believed in 5 relationships which were existent in society.
A society is based on 5 relationships: the ruler and the ruled, father and son, elder and younger brother, a husband and wife, and close friends. These relationships are based on ethics, justice, and systems. Good people make a good and prosperous society. The main principle of Confucius's neutral religion is based on the golden rule of share. Do unto others as we would want others to do unto us. Confucius emphasized the importance of following Li and Ren. Li is an abstract idea and refers to an ideal civilization. It creates an atmosphere where men can experience self-strength and become great. The principle of Ren is an inward expression, and if one evolves internally and externally through following Ren, he may become like the unseen divine power. Goals in life should be truthful, trustworthy, and determined. Knowledge without anxiety is a waste of labor, and anxiety without knowledge is also destructive. Only good behavior can make good people and life meaningful. Wisdom lies in being firm in conviction and generous in behavior. A wise person searches for fulfillment in oneself, while a fool in others. One should always be in a learning mode, and whatever we learn should reflect in our behavior too. Confucius focused on the present. Confucius did believe, however, that all the basic essentials have been here right from the beginning of creation, because of some force. This force is never ending, indestructible, limitless, omnipotent, and omnipresent. Confucius believed that the human body was made with two elements. One is lighter than a feather, unseen and progressive, and the other is solid, sensory, and regressive. When they separate, the spirit goes up to heaven and the body gets mixed with the soil. In the course of time, the soul returns to its home on earth. Confucius didn't believe in idol worship. According to him, a true renouncer of the world is he who stays in society and works for the upliftment of his fellow men.
Did Confucius write down all these beliefs of his? How do people remember it?
Confucius himself didn't believe in writing down his own thoughts, but his son and his followers did write them down.
His son, Taisi, wrote his thoughts in the Doctrine of the Mean. His disciple, Sang Sin, also wrote the Great Learning. Most of his thoughts have been compiled in the Analects, but today's most revered Chinese book, or the first book, was edited by Confucius. He divided it into 5 manuscripts. I Ching, which is written in a very difficult dialect and is the oldest and most sacred. Su King, this has details of the time China was found to the time Confucius lived. This has religious mythological preaching. Si King, which has old poems, epics, and a collection of music, and Li King, which is the oldest book on how to govern and administer. Chung Chu, this has the history of Lu state.
So now we've discussed Taoism and Confucianism. How are you finding it so far?
Well, the teachings of both are very similar. I think it might get difficult to distinguish between the two.
You're absolutely right, and I agree with you. So then let's do one thing. For the next part that we're going to cover, which is Shintoism, what I'll do is, maybe for a little while you can read your books, and then 1 or 2 of you can come up here and make presentations. Okay, so maybe, you can retain it much better that way. But before we start that, let me give you a little brief about Shintoism. Shintoism is the national religion of Japan. Now, this religion wasn't really started by any messenger of God, like in the case of Muhammad or Jesus. It's really another form of patriotism. Okay, it's the way they express or honor events in history or heroes from their past.
In Japanese, Kami no Michi means way of gods. The word Kami literally refers to everything. Gods, the mind, the sun, moon, fire, trees, the wind, and even animals. Animals, in fact, are all considered gods. One of them was Izanagi, the male counterpart, and another Izanami, the female counterpart. They both got together and created the 8 islands of Japan. Their descendants started inhabiting the islands and ruling there. The sun goddess Amaterasu created all the royals of Japan, so they were her direct descendants. This is why the title Mikado was considered divine and loyalty to the royals and land became the main backbone of this religion. Shinto believes that mankind and the entire creation has come from only one source. Hence, all parts are of one big family. As everything is a part of Kami is in everything.
So you've all been through your books?
Yes, ma'am.
Let's start our group presentations.
Konnichiwa. Now we begin our presentation on Shintoism. Aman?
There are two main epics, Koziki and Nihongi. Koziki. Yasumaro compiled all the folklores in the 712. It mentions the influence of Chinese culture in Japan. Nihongi. This is the history of creation and the stories of the incarnation of Mikado in the year 720. Now Samrat will take you further with the beliefs about Shintoism.
The main beliefs of Shinto are Japan is the land of gods. Oceans, rivers, earth and mountains are all gods. Gods are pleased with the purity of heart and not with offerings. An atheist is like a blind person. When Amaterasu Omi Kami, the sun goddess, and the heart of a person become one, then death becomes meaningless. Now Prachi will conclude.
God protects the pure and true. Forgiveness is bigger than all worldly possessions, as this is the root of contentment. Worshipping ancestors, serving parents and masters, following the teachings of elders, loving children, and being truthful are all stressed upon in Shintoism. Thank you. Arigato.
Excellent job. Okay, come on, next team, ready?
Konnichiwa. Our group today is going to talk about the various teachings of Shintoism. Amoli will run us through the various teachings of Shintoism.
The first is all belong to one huge family. The second, one must not cheat or be dishonest. And the third, both heaven and hell are inside us. Now I'll call upon Bhakti to take us through the rest of the teachings.
Good behavior is more precious than life itself. Study and work hard in order to follow the teachings of God. One must sacrifice the ego to enable God's help. Now Amrita will conclude.
If you want to serve others, you must have control over yourself. Be disciplined. It will set a good example for your younger ones. The God of kindness will give all of us a longer life if we are kind and generous to others. Sayonara.
Okay, now it's your turn. Break up into 3 teams. Each team will project a different philosophy, whether Taoism, Confucianism, or Shintoism. Then discuss the differences and similarities between the 3 religions.